Just how did this opportunity come about for you, and what drew you to the Saints?
Oh yeah, obviously, my time ended with the Patriots. And the Saints was one of the teams that reached out to, me and my agent, and I just thought that, having an opportunity there, especially after what they done in the draft and how did they finish the season last season, I felt like that was a good opportunity for me. I'm just looking forward to it.
Anthony, what do you look to bring to the room and to
Uh,
the
you know,
franchise?
Yeah, just me being the player that I am, I feel like I'm versatile, physical. I'm a disciplined player, and I've been in the lead a few years now, so I could bring more of a leadership role, help the younger guys out, and just be whatever the team need me, figuring out what my role is going to be, and just being a lead at that.
You mentioned that extensive experience. What do you feel like you gained, I guess, from rookie year to now?
Man, a lot. The NFL is a grown man league. Just having the opportunity to play with different coaches over the last few years, and just different players, and learning a lot from the game, and just being playing a lot of football too when I was in New England, and just being who I could be for this team, this organization, and just learning my role and being the best at that.
How much does it help to have that, I guess, that Super Bowl experience, or at least to have that experience having gone that far in the playoffs?
It helps a lot. You kind of know, what it takes to get there. And you kind of know what it takes within, the team, I guess the system, and how to hold your teammates accountable too, as well as yourself. It's something that's a process, and you can't take it for granted. Just getting that experience.
Anthony, what can you share about sort of the vision maybe that the team has for you, or maybe even the vision that you have for yourself on the field as a part of a Brandon Staley defense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I went in to sign the other day, but I had to leave, and I'm headed back on Sunday. But I just from Staley's time in the NFL, man, he just he's been able to coach up a lot of great players. And, the defense that he run, the style that he brings, being a kind of a 3-4 multiple defense, and just being able to have guys that's versatile, switching up disguises, and having different players in different places, and being a multiple defense in and out, being able to move around the front and be manipulate the front, and kind of still have a light box, stuff like that. Just I just feel like I'm a smart enough player where I can understand that, and I'm versatile enough that I can go out and I can produce, and help the team win.
Being the part of the Patriots last year, where you guys took a big leap, when maybe that wasn't the outside expectation for you guys going into the season. What did that take? What did that involve? Like, how can you apply that going forward? With the Saints maybe looking to do something similar.
Yeah, I think, like I said, man, based on what the Saints was able to do towards the end of the season last year, and what they've done in the offseason, as far as like getting players, and helping guys, I think that offensively we got a chance, and defensively we got a chance to be really good. Obviously we got to put the work in, and take it one day at a time. But I think that just obviously last year nobody gave us a chance to be where we was, where we ended up at the end of the season. But we kind of kept that within ourselves. We worked every day, and we held each other accountable, and went out, and we executed the game plan, and we was able to complement each other, offense, defense, and special team.
And how about in the playoffs when Harold Landry went down and you stepped in there and got more of a chance? What do you think you showed, and just how did you kind of seize that opportunity?
I mean, prior to that, I was just a starter for 2 years. Obviously, things changed when Braves came in, and he had guys that had been with him at Tennessee. But that never changed. I always consider myself as a starter in this league. So whenever I got my opportunity, I was going to be ready. And nothing changed with that. I'm always look at it that way as long as I'm in this league.
You kind of carry this reputation as being a really, really good run stopper in particular, or really good in terms of run defense. What goes goes into that in terms of being, effective against the run as a defensive end?
Yeah, I think obviously just having that mentality that nobody gonna run into my side, and just being physical and having good technique, good fundamentals, and just playing hard, man. At the end of the day, just playing hard, playing my ass off, and trying to do whatever I can do to help the team win.
And what would you say, obviously you carry that reputation, but what would you say about your pass rushing acumen and how you can contribute there as well?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't went for 10 plus sacks yet, but I feel like I affect the quarterback in many ways. Batted balls, just being around him. It's always been this narrative where I couldn't get to the quarterback or all this and this and that, and you know you watch the game. I'm constantly affecting the quarterback. I feel like, and I just try to do whatever I can, whatever situation I'm in to help the team win, and whether that's getting out to the quarterback, stopping the run, and or whatever. That's all I'm trying to do is win the game.
And do you feel like, I mean, you mentioned the kind of aggressive and attacking nature of like a Staley defense. Do you feel like that's a defense and a system that will kind of put you in position to maybe change the opinion on some of those narratives out there?
1,000%. 1,000%. I think that, like I said, man, him having that mentality and just the OLBs being able to be versatile and just do different things. I think that kind of like puts the offense in the bind sometimes, and you can only just use that to your advantage at times, and then man, just being able to be around a bunch of guys that's hungry and looking forward to getting to the quarterback and competing and stuff like that. That can only help too.
When you see a player like Chase Young come to New
Anfernee, you
Orleans,
went to Super Bowl last year. What does it take to get there? What did you see?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
You went to a Super Bowl last year. What did you see from your team? What does it take to get there?
I mean, it's a process, man. You don't get to the Super Bowl by what you do in the beginning of the season, or anything like that. It's a process. Like, it's 1 week at a time. Just making the right plays at the right time, and just being a team throughout the season. I think the biggest thing I took from just having that opportunity and getting to the Super Bowl was that, like, you never know who is going to be that you need throughout the season. I think a few different times it was a few different players. Like, it was never the same player that helped us win the game or just get to that point. It was always a different player, and everybody staying ready and trusting the process and putting the work in throughout the week. And we kind of did that throughout the season, and that helped us execute on Sundays.
Anthony, when you see a guy like Chase Young come to New Orleans and kind of find a rejuvenation, if you will, as he kind of described it, does that stand out to you? Like, does that factor into kind of your decision making as well when you see a guy able to do that in this system, in this environment?
Yeah, 100%. Just obviously where he was at, and what he was doing, and what he was able to do once he got to New Orleans, man, coming off an injury, and just saying F it and betting on himself. I feel like I'm in the same situation to an extent. And just having the opportunity, man, to go out and compete. Ultimately with me, like, I just want to win. I want to help this team win and be the best that we could be. Put us in a good position to, just go out and first win the division, and then, go from there.
Anthony, do you reflect at all on your journey from college? I mean, coming from the blood clots, I know sometimes people don't consider blood clots to be a major thing, and yet, it can obviously be a deadly thing. Do you reflect on your journey from that point to now?
Yeah, sometimes. Well, definitely. It's almost been 10 years now, but I think about it. I got a scar that kind of reminds me every time I look down at my leg. So I constantly think about it, but I'm just blessed to be where I'm at now, going into year 7 in the league, and having an opportunity, to keep going, and to keep just chasing what I'm chasing, greatness, man. Just being able to change my whole thing of my family pattern, and just be here and have the kids where I'm from look up to me, and now finally having a opportunity to go back down south and play, man. Like that's huge to me. That's huge to my family, my community, and I'm just looking forward to that.
Anfernee, what has this offseason kind of looked like for you? Are you back in Alabama? Like, how's that process going?
No, so my family lives in Tampa in Florida, so I train out here. They live out here, so I've been able to spend a lot of time with my family this all season. Being in New England, and being away from family, they're kind of hard throughout the season, but in the off season, I make it important to go down and try to be around them as much as I can, and get while I'm getting my work in, and just uh spend time, man. Like I'm in New England. I was in New England, so it was, the weather wasn't always that great. So now getting back down south and being able to be in some good weather and do my thing like that, like that's been great. That's been a blessing.
Anthony, you talked about, Chase Young kind of coming here and finding success. A couple other players throughout the offseason have talked about it. Is that the kind of thing that guys around the league are aware of and pay attention to? Somebody like that who was drafted high and kind of had that status coming out, and maybe things went a certain way, found success somewhere else. Like, how much do y'all pay attention to stuff like that around the league?
I mean, we all players, man. We love the game, and we want the best for players, that especially that we friends with. Like me and Chase came in together. We kind of trained in Tampa at the same place, Yo Murph, and just being around each other, like and throughout the league, man. Guys want guys to have success and stuff like that. So you obviously see it, and you wish them the best, and then for him to go out and do what he did, that was just. You kind of appreciated that, and you respected him for it, and you just see the opportunity, and that it only takes one opportunity, and then you make the most of it, and then your career change its landscape. It started going another way.
Anthony, a couple former Patriots are on the Saints now. I'm just curious if do you have any relationship with Devon Gotcha or Jalen Pope?
Yeah, I do. I do actually. Playing with DG a few years, and Pope. He came in as a rookie. Had high expectations, and he worked his butt off. Had a few injuries, and just having him being able to get a clean start too, man, and get to the Saints, and now he got a new phase, new situation, and a fresh start. Just looking forward to getting back to with those guys and working with them, and just being around the team for real, man. And, just started building and getting this thing going.